Thank you. In the absence of a mayor and a vice mayor, I'm going to call the meeting to order on this evening, November 18th, 2010, at 5 p.m. And we start by having Councilmember Sousa lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we pray that you guide this troubled council in its deliberations this evening for the betterment of all who live in the city. We ask that you protect the men and women employees of our city in the functions they perform for this community on a daily basis. We ask also that you take into your arms those of our military who have given their lives to bring democracy to the countries of Iraq and Afghanistan. For those who remain, bring them home safely as soon as possible. We pray also for our nation and its citizens during this time of financial difficulty. Let the crisis end and stability spread across our country. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. We have four action items on tonight's agenda, but procedurally speaking, in the absence of a mayor and a vice mayor, your city council rules of procedure call for the council to appoint a presiding officer to preside over tonight's meeting. That person will preside up until the time that you elect a vice mayor this evening, and at such time, the vice mayor will take charge of the meeting. So your first order of business this evening is to elect a presiding officer. Again, that is not the vice mayor position. That is just a person to chair tonight's meeting. Also, as just a point of order, Councilmember Pizzullo has indicated he has to leave at 6 o'clock. Hopefully we're all done by then, but he wanted everyone to know that he does have a time constraint later this evening. And I guess we'll address that if we're still here at 6 o'clock. So with that, council needs to make a motion to appoint a presiding officer this evening.
Question, Rick. If we do not by 6 o'clock and he has to leave, that means we have to reconvene at what? Whenever he can.
There's a couple of options. You can continue with 4 because you'll still have a quorum. Just if that 4 can't reach a consensus on who the vice mayor will be, I guess we could reach a point where we may want to recess till later this evening when Councilmember Pizzullo could come back, and that way we have somebody's going to reach a majority, because with 4 we have the possibility of a 2-2 tie. So we'll just, I guess, cross that bridge when we come to it.
I propose Councilman Pizzullo as our presiding officer.
Okay, so we have a motion for Councilmember Pizzullo to be the presiding officer.
And I'll second that.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Councilmember Pizzullo presiding at tonight's meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Yes, aye.
Opposed? Nay. Councilmember, move to the center and pick up the hammer.
Look good there, too.
Okay, so Chairman Pizzullo, next thing you'll need to do is take a roll call vote, a roll call of attendance.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Cavalier.
Aye. Here.
Councilmember Sousa.
Here?
Councilmember Osborne. Here. Councilmember Lortano. Here. Councilmember Pizzullo.
I hear.
Everyone is here.
Approval and ratify expenditures. I don't believe we have any, do we?
There are none this evening.
Okay. Second, communications. Do we have any communications?
There are none.
Okay, tonight's, at this point, we're at the point where non-agenda items, you can come up, anybody from the floor, speak on any non-agenda item for 3 minutes, and the council has the ability to respond to criticism, request the staff investigate and report on the matter, or request the matter be scheduled on a future agenda. Are there any cards?
Yes, Councilmember Pizzullo, I have 2 people. The first one is Richard Kirschbaum.
Good evening. I'd like to present a list of names of concerned Goodyear residents that would like to support Councilmember Frank Cavalier to be.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I believe that's an agenda item. Though.
That is an agenda item.
Later in the meeting.
Okay. That'll be back at the business meeting.
And what time would that be?
Probably very shortly will be the business.
About 2 seconds.
The second speaker is Joe Husband.
Good evening, Mr. Presiding Officer, members of the council, staff. My name is Joe Husband, and I'm representing Phoenix Goodyear Airport at 1658 South Litchfield Road. And just here tonight to formally introduce myself, newly assigned as the airport manager here at Phoenix Goodyear Airport. And I've been trying to get in to see you all, and this was the first opportunity I had. We finished some projects recently and also got NASCAR out of the way. But I just want to let you know that I am here. I've been 20 years with the aviation department and worked at all 3 airports. And if there's ever anything that we can do for you or to assist the council, we stand ready to do so. So, good evening, and it's wonderful to be here.
Thank you. Thank you.
A little more than 2 seconds.
That's all right. That's fine.
Councilor Pizzillo, I have another speaker card, Roger Matlin.
Good evening, Council. Roger Matlin, Goodyear, Arizona. And the reason I'm up here tonight, originally I didn't expect to be, but I decided I'd take up the opportunity. For those of you that are running for election again, I'm sure you've run into this problem as well in going out and getting signatures under the fair election law here in Arizona. And I've run into a very distinct problem in that a lot of communities are, and unfortunately including Pebble Creek, which I like very much because I wanted to
Can you please speak into the mic, Mr.
wanted to
Matlin?
buy a home there for my father. But they will not allow people to come into their community. And as I'm sure the city attorney is aware, that 2 years ago in Nader v. Brewer, the Ninth Circuit Court ruled that you have to provide access to voters in order for candidates to get their signatures to get onto the ballot. With communities here in Goodyear, a number of which are not allowing people to come into their communities, we're not being given access to those voters and not being given access to those signatures, and therefore it is a violation of that ruling that was here in the state of Arizona in 2008. So I'm asking the city council and the city attorney to look into this, because I do not believe this is allowable under the fair election laws. And I've already checked with a U.S. attorney about this, and they have agreed with me on it. So I would like something to be done so that it is easier, or at least accessible, for people to run for office here in the city of Goodyear, especially with the council being narrowed down so much. Obviously, you need candidates, but it needs to be a fair election. So I'm asking you if you would look into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Roy, city manager?
The matter.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. What I see is there is no consent agenda. Is that correct?
Correct.
So the next up for is the business of tonight. How do we proceed with this, Roy? Do we all four at once, or?
Mr. Chairman, first on your item will be item A, the acknowledgement of a vacant council seat, and that will require 4 different action items on the part of the council this evening. As far as order, I would ask the council to consider item number 2 first, which is accepting Georgia Lord's resignation effective November 17, 2010 at 4:30, and recognize that there is a vacancy on the council at this time. As we're all aware, Ms. Lord did submit her resignation. It is included in your packet. As a formality, council needs to accept that resignation, primarily to recognize that there's a vacancy on the council at this time. So if there's no further questions, we'd ask the council consider that item at this time.
Do we have a motion to accept Georgia Lord's resignation?
So moved.
We've got the Councilmember Cavalier and a second, Councilmember Sousa. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Second there, Lord.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Second item we'll go back to number 1. The action item in front of you this evening is to designate a council member to serve as a vice mayor until the first council meeting in June. Actually, what that should state would be you need to designate a vice mayor to serve, well, I guess it would be, I'm sorry, to serve until the first council meeting in June. The vice mayor will serve as in the role of mayor with all those powers and responsibilities and duties there too until such time as the seat of mayor is filled, whether that be through an election in March or in the eventuality that you need a runoff, that could be May. So that whoever you elect as a vice mayor this evening will serve in that role until such time as we have a mayor, but will serve as a vice mayor until June as dictated in our procedures. Again, just something to keep in mind, I mean, there are standard duties of office. I think we're all aware of the role of the mayor. The vice mayor is filling in during that interim time in that role. Just to make you aware, as far as scheduling, city staff want to make you aware that in addition to the charter duties of mayor, there's also various committees that the vice mayor will be asked to serve on during the intervening time. I've been informed that will dictate serving about 15 hours, additional hours per month to fulfill those committee obligations. And I believe there's approximately 5 to 6 committees that the vice mayor will be asked to serve on, as well as the normal duties and whatever committee assignments you currently have. Just want to make sure everyone was aware of that. So your duties, your action item this evening will be to appoint one of the 5 of you to act as vice mayor until June, or at the pleasure of the council. And that person will serve the role of mayor until such time as we have a full duly elected mayor. What I would suggest this evening is there may be public comment.
Yes.
You may want to call for public comment, and then I would assume council probably wants to discuss the appointment of a vice mayor prior to making a motion to appoint someone as vice mayor, and then it's majority vote to appoint somebody as vice mayor. With that, unless you have any further questions.
Just one real quick question. Do we first have to clear up the issue on whether we go into an executive session or not?
That's there. It's completely up to you on whether or not you feel you need any legal advice as far as procedure, office, or any technicalities. Certainly, the appointment of a officer of a public body is allowable to go into executive session. So that's there if you need it. I'm not recommending it necessarily unless there's questions, legal questions you may have.
Is there any interest on council to?
None here?
Okay.
No.
No, okay.
Thank you.
So we'll open up the floor for public comment at this time? Okay. Lynn?
Councilmember Pizzillo, Richard Kirschbaum.
Good evening again, council members. I would just like to submit some names that have been signed by concerned Goodyear citizens requesting consideration of Frank Cavalier to be elected by the council as vice mayor. So I would like to submit these names.
Who does that go to you, Rourke?
We can accept it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Do we have anything else?
No, no other speaker cards.
No other speaker
Mr.
cards?
Chairman, would council like to see this, or would you like me to read the names? Or
Well, can we?
just
can
file
we,
it with the city clerk? We can do that as well.
Well, can we? I mean, can we get? I guess
I
is
can-
there a way of getting copies for that, or?
I can just hand it and you
Just
can pass
hand
it down
it?
the
Okay.
dais.
We'll start with me.
While they're going through that, Rourke, quick question for you. Do we put a typical motion, or we just open a discussion to the floor? How will this,
Should have a discussion
just,
first.
I mean,
I think you probably want to have your discussion
Okay.
first, and then whenever you're ready to make a motion, the council can make a motion.
okay. We ready? Sure. Start the discussion.
We start?
Go ahead, Frank. It's fine.
Okay, if you want me, I would do that. My feeling is that recommending me for the position as vice mayor to fill out this term until a new mayor is elected is probably the best for the city of Goodyear. It'd be the best move for the citizens of Goodyear. I am the only member of this council with enough years' experience that have the experience and the knowledge about what is going on with MAG, with the state, with transportation, with just about everything that we're involved in. I know most of the mayors in the state of Arizona, especially I know all of them in the area, in the Phoenix area. I work very closely with many council members from other cities, and I am in meetings with them constantly. So I am aware of their requirements and the fact that I have to interface with them and what I need to do to make that a positive interface, especially in the city of Phoenix. Mayor Gordon, I know Mayor Gordon. I also know the Councilman Michael Johnson, who's on the RPTA. He's on the RPTA board. I'm on the Budget and Finance Subcommittee. I work with all the other cities in that area. Along with that, I have attended MAG meetings for the mayor, and I'm familiar how MAG works. I know that there are many night meetings, evening meetings that must be attended, and I'm available and would assure you that I would attend all of those meetings. I also feel that working with the legislature is going to be problematic this year because on their list, even though it's low on the list, is the funding for the shared revenue funding state cities. And that might be in jeopardy. And my knowledge of many of the legislators in our state legislature would help me to gain the knowledge to get probably in a position to at least talk to these people and assure them that the city needs that money. So all in all, I don't think anyone has that experience and can follow what I have done. This morning I attended a mayor's meeting on the heavy rail, and there was quite a discussion about what should be done in the West Valley and in rail. Today at our PTA, there was quite a discussion about what are we going to do about transportation funds for the future, and many of the cities are as concerned as we are about that. And the fact that we have done what we have done with as little as we have done is remarkable. The Park and Ride will open toward the end of this month, 1st of December, and that has been a fight, and that has been a pursuit that we have worked on for several years, and now we've achieved that. And that's not in the Proposition 400 money. That was grant money, and that was money from outside, excuse me. So then, on top of that, I would just like to say that with the people in MAG and working with the mayors in the adjoining cities, we all have a good relationship. Mayor from Avondale, council members from Avondale, and I see one in the audience. Nice to see you. These are all people that I have worked with for a long time, and they represent their city very well, and I enjoy working with them. Buckeye is another city. I've been working with them. Litchfield Park, so it's and Tolleson. So it's been I think a positive move, and I have spent much time with these people, and as I said, I have a good rapport. So I feel that my representing Goodyear as vice mayor with these other cities is a plus, and is therefore a plus for the citizens of Goodyear, because we right now, in our troubled times, as we are in now, as Councilman Souza stated, we need all the help we can do to get a level playing field and to work with our neighbors and do the best job we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Councilmember Loretano? Come back to you. Okay. Councilmember Sousa?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to put into nomination for the vice mayor position, Councilwoman Joanne Osborne. We all know how Joanne has worked with the council and with the administration as a whole. We've seen her take on many challenges during the course of the past 4 years, and she's very much worthy of this position and will work well with the council that is now and council that will be in the future. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Sousa. Councilmember Osborne?
Thank you, Councilmember Sousa. I find myself in a predicament here. Truly, to me, what the real accomplishment that this council needs to be is a team, and leading this city for a smooth transition until the mayor is elected. And I think that the last thing I want right now is any kind of more separation between us. I believe that every council member here and our past council member and mayor was very diverse and very dynamic. And together, I know that we all have the same goal, and that's a great Goodyear. As for myself, I know I can do the job. I know that I'm a worker bee, and there's a job that needs to be done. I work for our citizens, and I would take on that duty very happily. However, I also know that we need to sail this ship straight, fast, and free as it always has gone. And I don't want there to be any animosity. I'm not sure that we will be able to get to that point, and but I do appreciate the you nominating me. Thank you. I have led the Planning and Zoning Commission for 6 years, and I was the chairman of that commission, and if I can put Gary Gelser in his place, I know I can do the job. I also have had many, many roles as a leader, and when you can control a group of 50 teenagers, you do something right. I've also been in this valley a very long time and know a great deal of council members, and I know mayors, and I know community leaders that I can work with. I do agree with Councilmember Cavalier that the transportation issue has never been something that I know a lot of, and Frank certainly does. And to me, this is part of the team that we need to be, because I think that all the things that we individually do and the things that are now going to be on our plate need to be divided, and we will conquer it. And that's part of the goal that we need to have to come together. So I accept your nomination.
Thank you.
But I still want it to not be an issue between us, okay?
Councilmember Loretano.
I'm the newest one to the council. And I like you too. I like everybody. What I have seen in the last couple of months is become very acrimonious. I work in a field where you litigate, but when you're done litigating, you go out, you go have a drink afterwards. You might fight head to head, but you go have a drink afterwards. I do not like how personal it's become with blogs and petitions and all that. I don't think that's necessary. I think we need to be able to sit down and have a adult, reasonable discussion. I think every single person on this council would be a great vice mayor. Everyone has similar goals. Everyone has similar ideas. You have different ways of getting there. And just because you have a different way doesn't mean one way is right and one way is wrong. It's just different. Again, that's what I do every day. You can argue the same case 4 different ways from Sunday, and there's always not a right answer. It's just a different answer. Saying that, I think both Frank and Joanne would do a wonderful job. I'm going to try a different tactic here. I'm going to place Joe Pizzo's name into nomination. I don't know if you want to accept, but I think he has experience in the city. He's not up for election, so I think that might stop some of the acrimony. And I know there's been allegations and everything going back and forth, and I know some of them have been unfounded. I know Frank has been the subject of some of those allegations, and not that, Frank, I don't think you can do the job. I'm just trying to put out a person that maybe doesn't have those allegations that, that people are going to say, well, this or that, and I don't mean that in a negative way for either of you. And with Joanne running, again, it's kind of like the appearance of maybe what would or wouldn't, and people would say. And I think, Joe, you've been a very reasonable, calming force. I don't know if your teaching schedule would allow it, but that's just my thoughts.
Thank you, Councilmember Loretano. Yeah, I appreciate the kind words. From my perspective, when it comes to the vice mayor position, I think it's critical, whatever we decide up on this dais, is that, number one, a team. I know we all want what's best for the city, everybody up here, and what I'd like to see, at least moving forward, is as a group to be able to jump in and help each other out when we just can't cover something. I mean, there's enough openings, there's enough meetings and a variety of things out there, whereas if we work as a team and as a unit, I think we can accomplish great things. Everybody on this dais comes with different skill sets. Frank with a major experience in the transportation. He's done that for years. It's been a passion, that with art. Yeah, you've got the business person, with Joanne Osborne, understands running a business. We've got the lawyer in the background. From the legal standpoint, Sousa's a lot back on the insurance issue. I bring with a finance and accounting background, okay? So with all of our different skill sets, what I always find nice is, as a group, individually, we're just like a cog in the wheel. Together, we can do great things. So, whatever we do moving forward, I know these are challenging times. I know come, March, we're going to have a new mayor and a new council. But, I would really like to see us focus on, and that's why the In Focus, I'd really like to see us focus on the positive energies that are going on out there, because I know if we all work together, I know we can do great things for the city. There has been a lot of great things done. And from my perspective, again, that's kind of where I'm coming from, is us working as a group. And wherever the chips lie, they lie. But again, I'm very proud of the group, and I'm very proud of the accomplishments we've done to date on this council. And again, the only reason why I ran in the first place was trying to maybe give a little assistance on my financial background, especially in these challenging times. So with that, I'm not sure where we got to go from here, Rourke, because
So
you
you got
got
to call for a motion.
call
Well,
for a motion. Okay.
before you do that, I'd like to respond to some of what has been said, because at this point, the city needs someone who has the experience and knows the people that they'll be dealing with and working with. outside the city. Being vice mayor of the city council is more than just presiding over this group, this dais. That's just a small part of it. And I'm not certain everyone up here realizes how much is required and how much time and how much energy is required and how much of your background with what you already know and with the people that you already know would be an assistance to this city and be a help to this city and bring this city to the forefront. Goodyear, everyone's watching Goodyear. Right now, the whole valley is watching Goodyear. I had many, many comments at the meetings I've attended today, and it's amazing that, as I said, and this goes beyond transportation because I'm involved with other things too. CDAC is another organization. I brought over $2 million to the city from CDAC to help the underprivileged in the areas of Goodyear that need assistance, HUD money assistance. So I have worked in that area, and I have been very successful with that. So I'm knowledgeable about many of the working parts of the cities, not just Goodyear. And being the mayor, as vice mayor of Goodyear and representing Goodyear out there is more than just sitting at this dais. And we need someone out there that knows what's going on and who those people are and who we need to interface with and who are the people that will help us and what we need to do to work as a team more than just within this group. We need to work as a team out there. The money is short and the sharing it now becomes less and less. There's less money all the time. So we need to get someone who has the experience and knows the right people. And I am that person. I can assure you, if we get someone else, because these people are all inexperienced in that area, it will be starting all over from square one. And we need to take what we've got and build on that and take it to the next level. And the citizens of Goodyear, with their petition, realizes this. It isn't a petition against anyone. That petition is telling me that they want me to represent them because they know that I'm in the best position to do the best for the city of Goodyear. And it isn't against anyone else. I intend to work as a team. I've always worked as a team. It doesn't matter. We've worked together. There's been animosity, but that animosity has just been over items, over mostly budget. There is more than that to this. So I'm just saying, I just want to say that so that this council makes the right decision and sends the right person to that position. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Councilmember Cavalier. Yes? Yes, go ahead, Councilmember Osborne.
Well, I didn't realize that we were going to be spouting resumes. And when it comes down to it, as Ms. Laura Thomas stated, we all have individual strengths. And there are a great deal of things that I contribute to this city and to this region, quite frankly. And I'm also experienced with MAG. And with the continuum of care, I am the vice chair. There's no doubt, Frank, that you have been here longer. I give you that. There is no doubt. But there's also a dynamic and an energy that I myself and each one of us bring to the table. I could go on and on. I mean, I've been a business owner for 20 years, and I'm not going to sit here and grandstand myself. And I would like to take the high road here and stick with Sweden. So I will also second the nomination of Mr. Pizzillo.
I think you need to call for a motion.
Do we need to second any other nominations?
Well, yeah, a nomination is not a motion,
nominated, was it?
so we haven't had a motion yet. Someone needs to make a motion to
Motion?
place somebody in to
What
nominate.
am I asking for, a motion?
Calling for a motion to nominate someone to fill the role as vice mayor.
Okay, any motions on the floor calling for vice mayor, nomination of vice mayor?
I'm sorry, can we step back one moment? You have not given input about either your ability or your concern.
Excuse me, Madam, Mr. Mayor. Please speak into the microphones. They aren't coming across.
I'm sorry. Mr. Pizzillo, you have not had an opportunity to speak on this matter because there are things. Oh, you know why? It wasn't on. None of them are on. I apologize. Mr. Pizzillo, Frank had some good points. And as some people will say, you're kind of green, okay? And I understand Frank's position, and I appreciate that. I also know that you have a busy schedule, and I need to hear your thought about this.
Thank you, Councilmember Osborne. In the first place, from a schedule standpoint, first of all, I am deeply honored by some of the nice things that have been said here tonight about me. I didn't come here looking for any position. I appreciate the kind words from the council members here. So that's why I really wasn't prepared to go into any resume. I do have over 20 years' experience in local government, so even though I was a former budget manager, I spent a lot of time in a lot of different areas in city government, from a city manager's office down. So from an experience standpoint, I'm not too concerned about coming up to speed. If you're talking about time, my time is pretty flexible. I pick my classes as they come. I can sometimes work around those. Most of my stuff's at night. Most of it's online. So that's, other than Tuesday and Thursday mornings with my class, but that's up in about 4 weeks. So that shouldn't be a concern. But, I'm deeply honored on some of these comments because to be honest with you, wasn't expecting them. So that's my comments.
Oh, goodness. Well.
A motion.
You can call for a motion.
Call for a motion.
Did we just call for a motion to vote then?
You call for a motion to nominate someone to fill the role as vice mayor. You don't have a motion yet.
Oh. Just in general, and then people
I
nominate.
move that so-and-so be appointed vice mayor.
Go ahead, Sherry.
I'll move that Joe be appointed vice mayor, Joe Pizzillo.
Thank you, and you'll need a second, Mr. Chairman.
Do we have a second?
You can call for a second.
Okay, then I guess we'll move on.
Can we have some music? Tick, 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 tick. I will second.
You have a motion and a second. You can have further discussion, or you can call for a vote.
Well, I think we've had plenty of discussion. Let's see where the vote is and see whether we got to go another round.
Okay, so you're going to call for all those in favor, say aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
I think you have one who hasn't voted. Abstaining? I guess.
Oh.
Aye.
I think the chair can recognize you have a 4-to-1 vote appointing you as vice mayor.
Well, this is kind of unexpected. I appreciate the faith you have all in me, and I will not let you down.
Okay.
With that moving forward, I guess the next thing we have to do is appoint a subcommittee to review the application. Is that correct?
That's correct. With the resignation of Councilmember Lord, it sets in motion several things that we need to do, or you need to consider as a council. Since Councilmember Lord is in their first 1 year and within the time period of 1 year and 180 days of office, the charter calls for a special election to be held to fill the unexpired term of her seat. But in the intervening time, council has the option to fill that seat by appointment through whatever time period it takes for that seat to be filled. That could be as early as March if a person receives the majority of the votes cast in the March election, or if there's a runoff required, that could be through May. So with that in mind, our procedures on council is you appoint a subcommittee to review applications, and applications are ready to go online, and they actually may be online as of 5:30. for individuals in the community who wish to fill the intervening period between now and whenever the council seat is filled. So applications will be online. There's a time period, or a times line established in your council packet, which would allow the council to fill that seat within the 30-day time period required in the charter. It's proposed that, of course, you recognize the vacancy this evening, which we've already done. Well, we've accepted the resignation and recognize the vacancy. That vacancy occurs. You'll establish a subcommittee this evening of 3, if that's what you desire to do. The city clerk will then move to publish the vacancy notice in the appropriate newspapers and online. We'll accept applications through November 29th. The next day, we'll distribute those applications to the subcommittee of the council, and then the subcommittee will make recommendations on who they recommend for appointments to the entire council by December 1st, and then the council will make that appointment on the December 6th meeting. If I said November, I meant to say December previously. So per the procedure previously adopted by the council, that's the process for appointing someone to fill that seat up until the time that we have a special election to permanently fill that seat for the remaining 2 years of that term. With that, I'll answer any questions you may have as far as the process.
Would people who already have filed for nominations be eligible to be selected in the group?
They would have to cancel their.
I think the answer is yes.
It is yes?
If they file for the intervening time period or for the permanent seat? What, are you asking?
If they've already filed their nominations for an election in March, okay, can they be a part of this consideration?
For the temporary position?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
How,
But then they would become the incumbent. And they'd have to have the resign.
True.
that's true. They couldn't. They couldn't continue.
Couldn't be. It's confusing.
Thank you.
So for clarification on what you're saying, Rourke, that it couldn't be somebody
They
running?
could not. That's correct. Because there's more. It's not the final year of that term.
Right.
That's correct.
Couldn't be.
Thank you.
Could not.
It could not be somebody running.
Right, because they would be in office and running for office, and they're not in their final
Okay,
year.
yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you over there.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
Are we going to select the committee?
Well, I guess the question is, first of all, I got a question quickly for work. Do we have to fill the position?
Technically, no, because if you don't fill a position, it goes just straight to a special election. That's what's contemplated, but you can have a special election either way. So it would be council's option whether or not to fill the seat. It contemplates that you would fill the seat, but council has the option not to fill it just by failing to exercise their option within 30 days. You could take the applications and then on December 6th, just not fill the seat if that's what you chose to do.
Let me ask this, is there anybody on council interested in filling, being on that committee? A committee of 3, I assume?
Committee of 3.
Committee of 3?
Yeah, I would be on it.
Well, I think that Frank and yourself and Dick would be a good committee.
I don't want to be on a committee.
You do or do not?
No.
Oh, you do not? Oh, okay.
I think Councilwoman Osborne should be on it.
Okay.
What I question, if it's one seat, then we could have a tie vote, correct? I mean, right now, we have an odd amount.
That's correct. You would create the possibilities of having tie votes.
So does that occur? then?
Motions fail on a tie vote.
Motions fail on a tie vote. Well, how do you guys feel? Should we fill? What do you
Well, I think we should go ahead with it.
I think we should at least take the applications. You can come back with
Okay.
a recommendation. We can go from there.
Yeah, and I'd like to be on that committee.
What is the earliest, if the March election, someone gets 50 plus 1, I guess, is what it says, right?
correct.
50 plus 1. What would be the soonest that person would take election?
As soon as you canvass the election,
Okay,
you would put them in office immediately.
so it would probably be end of March then? Okay, yeah.
Probably a little earlier than that, but yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I don't have a problem taking the applications, but it's a very short period.
Well, let me ask this. Can I get for what, Frank, Joanne,
And you?
and me?
You?
So I need a nomination or
Just need
somebody to make
a motion to appoint.
motion to appoint. Can I get that for those three?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Sousa and a second from Councilmember Loretano for the committee to be Councilmember Cavalier, Councilmember Pizzillo, and Councilmember Osborne. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All.
That's 5-0.
All 5-0. Next, what we have is the direct city clerk to have council seat vacated by Georgia Lord added to the March 8th ballot.
Housekeeping matter, you just need to make a motion to place that item on the ballot, and the charter dictates it in this eventuality that you do place the seat on the next
Can I have a motion then
election schedule.
to have the council seat vacated by Georgia Lord added to the March 8th ballot?
So moved.
But, excuse me just a minute. For what position?
This is
City Council.
city council for Georgia Lord.
This is the
Georgia
unexpired
Lord's
term.
position.
left.
The 2
Two-year
years
term.
left. That's what this position would be for,
Okay.
which we have to do.
No. Okay. All right.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Motion by Councilmember Cavalier, second by Councilmember Osborne. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Current events, accommodations, reports presented by mayor, council members, staff members to the public. Do we have any?
I'm sorry, staff?
Comments,
Comments.
reports, current events
Reports.
from the mayor, council,
Yes, I
members?
would like
Go
to say
ahead.
something.
Councilmember Osborne?
Just today, myself and Councilmember Sousa went to Mobile and enjoyed the Thanksgiving luncheon with the children and residents of Mobile. It was very nice.
Excellent.
Long drive, but it was nice. And I have to tell you that while we were there, one of the community members was having a health issue with a broken rib and was in a lot of pain. And they went to take him to the firehouse, and nobody was there from Mobile. Nobody was there from Maricopa. And we knocked on all the doors. Nobody was there. They did call 911. Truck was there. There were cars there, but no one was there. And so we need to find out when exactly they're there. And I did hear that they've been happier with the presence of seeing the highway patrol or police, whoever, the police that's down there that's helping.
The sheriff.
Sheriffs, okay. They are appreciative of seeing the
sheriff's
sheriff more often. I just want to let you know that. Thanks.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Councilmember.
Yeah, this morning I attended with the mayors, I attended the meeting of the heavy rail. We had a meeting with the Mr. Hassett from MAG and the Union Pacific representative who talked to us about the rail system coming through Goodyear and onto Buckeye and the future of that system and which would be the best. Also the Mobile system where that train, there's a track that comes through Mobile too, which is a part of Goodyear. So actually we have two rails going through Goodyear in two different places. It was quite interesting. There was a lot of positive feeling among the other mayors, and it was I was very impressed with what happened there. Also, later on, I went to the RPTA meeting today where we had a legislative update about the legislature and where they are on funding. Right now in Washington, D.C., it's not good. It's a lame duck legislature, and they're putting off any funding. They attempt to be putting off any funding, and they do not want to have any earmarked money for anything until the new legislature comes in. So it's kind of at a standstill. The old group is trying to move it forward. The new group is saying, let's wait till the new legislature comes in. So that's been a standoff, and that hasn't been good for us. So we will stay on top of that, see how that plays out. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Cavalier. Anything from the manager, summary of current events?
Vice Mayor Pizzillo, the only thing is to respond to Councilmember Osborne. We're aware of that situation in Mobile. We've checked it out, and the ambulance was called, and the ambulance was en route, and it took 22 minutes to get there. And the truck was also en route from Maricopa, but the ambulance called and canceled the truck when they determined it wasn't necessary. That's why, as we heard when the council was down there a month or two ago, that they prefer the city of Goodyear to be down there. We're looking at options right now as far as having Maricopa go away and what would it cost us to put a two-man crew down there. And it will cost somewhere around $100,000 to $120,000 extra for us to put a two-man crew, two-person crew down there. And so we're looking at that as part of this year's budget, if we can somehow accomplish that. But Maricopa was not in the station, and they were canceled by the ambulance as they were coming. So.
Thank you. Staff summary, follow-up action items?
45 minutes.
Any?
I have a question
Sure.
on that response, if I may, John. That'd be $120,000 beyond what we are now paying.
Yes, we're
above.
paying roughly $76,000 right now, so roughly $200,000 for this. And we will send you a specific
Total.
amount in the near future.
No, okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. I have one other item. Monday night, we had that work session regarding the dashboard, and which was very appreciative, and I thank you for sending it to all of us council to be able to play with it. My question is, we're playing with it, and I have an idea where I want to go with it, and I would like to know when it's going to come back to us to make some suggestions, because quite frankly, if we have decided as a group that we would like to lower some taxes, I want you to have plenty of time to say, okay, where are we going to absorb this? And I don't want to, I hate to see, and maybe this is a legal aspect I do not know, but I would hate to see us wait till the budget is passed, and then you have to be scrambling to see where, if we wanted these sales taxes to be decreased in the 11-12 budget. Can you help me out with how that we can go forward with this?
I believe that we could come back to the council and discuss this, probably given the time schedule right now, I would say early January.
Okay.
And we will make sure to schedule that as a discussion with the council at a future work session, because we appreciate that. It would be very helpful to have some direction on that. And so we will get together and work on that towards the early January.
Okay, but as state regulations or requirements, is it something that we could say we would like to lower X for the July 1st of 2011, or does it have to still be part of the budget process? That's my question. If we were to say February 1st, hey, we want to make sure that come June 1st or July 1st that you cut X, can it be done that way, or do you have to do it in the budget?
No, they're separate items. I mean,
Okay.
you want to know what your revenues are before you build your budget. So
Okay.
you certainly want to have that discussion prior to that time, but we can set up the schedule for adjusting any sales tax rates that you wish to do. But again, you're going to want to have that conversation early enough in the process for city management to build their budget based
Right.
upon the forecast revenues.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Just as a quick follow-up on that, I liked it too. I was playing with it, except you locked a few cells that I wanted to mess with.
We had
myself.
to lock those.
I know, for guys like me, I understand that. But one of the discussion I'd also like in there is, we talked about the rainy day fund, and we talked about the various cities and jurisdictions on what they do, and we currently have a 4-month rainy day fund. And I know with the GA, with the government standards boards, I'd like to know, is that high, is that low? Because we've been fortunate to be able to keep that rainy day fund for quite a few years now. So, I'd like to see some type of discussion or average. Are we high, are we low when it comes to that rainy day fund?
We will certainly.
The amount, what that should be.
We will certainly review that with the council. As you'll recall, at the session Monday night, we did have in the overhead the typical city, not typical, the cities throughout the valley, what their rainy day funds were. We were, as I recall, slightly higher than the rest of them. GFOA does not make a recommendation. Larry mentioned that he's been trying for 30 years to get them to make a recommendation. But they do have a written policy statement that says that a city should have at least 2 months. We're at 4 months. We believe that we could draw it down to, let's say, $10 million range, not any lower, because that would affect then our bond rating.
Well, that's the discussion, I think, at a later date.
And we will make sure to schedule that, Mr. Pizzillo.
Okay, I appreciate that. Future meetings are listed, December 6th for a work session, a regular meeting, the 13th for a regular meeting. If there's nothing else, adjourn. Get the job.